Hi there, my name is Lara Waldman and I'm a healer and a freedom coach. And today I want to speak to you about judgment, which is such a juicy topic and something that affects all of our lives. So, judgment. Wow. I've had the awareness that judgments can be some of the most crippling things ever. So either the fear of being judged, and how that can affect our lives, or how our judgment towards other people can affect our lives. Judgments create a huge amount of pain. Either if you are the judger, you're judging someone else, that creates a huge amount of tension in the mind and the body and emotions, but also being on the receiving end of other people's judgments can be a very painful experience. And some of you may have, developed really good defense mechanisms to feel not so affected by that, and that's great. But really, that vulnerable bit inside can feel it all, and it can feel very violent even. So I'd like to teach you about how to clear judgments, your own judgments and other people's judgments, and also what to do when you're being judged. So, this is a big one, and somehow if you can set yourself free of judgment, you will be free. You will feel incredible amounts of freedom. And I believe this is the one way that we can really stay stuck, is when we are threatened by external judgments or when we are judging. Now, I'm someone who has been completely paralyzed by judgment. So I really could speak to you from first-hand experience, where being judged was one of the biggest fears that I had. And I noticed I just kind of kept in hiding because I didn't want to be on the receiving end of someone's judgment. So overcoming this has been one of the most freeing things I personally have experienced. And it's an ongoing practice, because still I find being on the receiving end of someone's judgment intense, but I know how to work with it now, and I'd like to speak with you about how to do this. So first of all, I'd like you to start by really owning your own stuff and really having an honest look at yourself and look at where you are judging. So that's a really powerful place to begin. So all the judgments that you carry towards yourself or other people, would you be willing to let that go now? As simple as that. Every time you notice yourself going into judgment about yourself or others, ask yourself, would I be willing to let that go now? Or I let go of all the judgments. So I experienced eating disorders growing up, and it affected me hugely. I had so much judgment towards myself and my body, and it was incredibly painful. It created a huge amount of pain for my body and my mind and emotions. So that's one of the great ways we can start. I've noticed that a lot of the people that I work with who are sensitive and aware and are often just judging themselves in crazy amounts. And this is often what can happen when you're sensitive, because you're picking up on all sorts of stuff that's going on around you, which we'll speak about. But first, I'd like you just to clear it from your body. And this is the discipline. A lot of these tools are incredibly simple. They're very effective, but the trick is remembering to use them in the moment. And the trick is being mindful about what your thoughts are doing in the moment. So, what judgments do you have of people when you're walking down the street, when you're talking? Just watch the judgments that come up. Don't judge yourself for judging. That would be a bit silly. Just watch it. Be willing to let it go. So that's step one, taking ownership for your own judgments. Not being hard on yourself for judging, just being willing to let them go. Now, being on the receiving end of other people's judgments is really intense. But what really is going on is it has nothing to do with you. When someone's judging you, it's generally their own stuff and their own pain. And that's why it can feel so uncomfortable, especially when you're really sensitive or an empath, that you can feel it all. So, and what generally a person's doing is projecting their pain onto you. So one of the things that you can do when you are on the receiving end of judgment is do something called barriers down, where what happens is if we are feeling we're on the receiving end of judgment, we tend to put up these walls and barriers to try and protect ourselves and deflect, or we can get very defensive. This practice is very simple, not always super comfortable in the moment, but you ask your barriers to drop and you receive the judgment. So you allow the judgments just to flow through you, rather than kind of sticking and getting stuck in your body. So you let it go. Whew, that was intense. Whew, I let that go. So you kind of let it flow through you and out of you, rather than like letting it stick into your body. Or you can kind of hand it back. So rather than needing to fight against it, so we tend to either, we tend to defend against it or defend for it. We're in defense of the other person's judgment. What if you could be water off a duck's back and just let it flow through you? This is a practice. You're going to get caught out from time and time again. And also just, if you're about to meet up with someone, they are quite a judgmental person, you can ask yourself, almost like an intention beforehand, to just let the judgments wash through you. You don't have to change it. You don't have to try and fix it. You don't have to defend it. You don't have to join in their judgment party. Just let it flow through you. So holding the intention beforehand can be really, really powerful. So I'd like you to go out and play with some of those things and see how you get on. I feel that judgment is one of the ways that we can really get stuck. And if you can find ways to overcome it, you will be kind of hovering above this judgment world and free from it. It's very, can be very heavy and confining. So if you no longer care what people think about you, that is, from me anyways, ultimate freedom. But in a genuine way, not in a kind of shut down, protected way. So releasing your own judgments when you notice them. I let my judgments go. I let all of this go. Allowing, when other people are judging you, allowing it to flow through you, or you can even hand it back, moving away from defending it or fighting against it. And then before you meet with someone that you know is particularly judgmental, ask for yourself to just be an allowance of their judgments and to soften your body, bring your barriers down, and just, let it flow through you. The other fascinating thing that I've noticed, especially if you're quite sensitive, is you can actually pick up on other people's judgments and feel them as your own. So I've noticed this, that sometimes these weird thoughts came into my head about another person. I thought, that's not me, I don't think that. But I noticed this. It sounds completely crazy, but I was actually picking up on the thoughts and the feelings of the other person. So I was picking up on their own thoughts about themselves, their own judgments that they had about themselves, but it seemed like they were mine. So also notice that you can be picking up on other people's thoughts and beliefs and judgments about themselves. We are very aware, we are way more aware than we realize, and you can literally pick up on the thoughts and feelings of other people. So sometimes, in these moments I used to think, oh my God, I'm a terrible person for having that thought. But in those moments that I'm speaking about, they weren't mine. I was literally picking them up from someone else. And it's a fascinating thing. So you can also just be aware, oh, was that mine? Was that my judgment? Or is that somebody else's? Was that person's over there? And just check with yourself first and be willing to clear it and let it go. So I hope you found that helpful. This is an ongoing practice. Our world is filled with judgments. Just be mindful. Watch the thoughts that come into your head. Be aware of what's yours and what's not yours. Keep letting it go, that stuff that you're perceiving. It does mean that it still is intense sometimes, as in when you allow the judgments in, you will still feel them. You're going to feel the judgments that person's carrying. You're going to feel the pain that other person's carrying. So you're aware of it still, but just let it flow through you rather than getting stuck in you. So I can't help you with the intensity of it, but I can help you have a greater allowance with it and let it flow through you with greater ease, so it's not sticking you as well, and you don't need to join the other person's pain. So this is a big subject and one to keep working with, but if you have any questions, any comments, please feel free to get in touch or comment below, and I look forward to speaking to you again in the future soon.